Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. I've got Monica Tanner with us. Monica started Secrets of Happily Ever After, and I'm honored to be a part of the 2022 Marriage Summit, which is live today. Monica, thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting on this summit. What an awesome thing.
Oh my goodness, it's so great. And I love that so many of you are so willing to share so freely your secrets of happily ever after, because that is what the summit is truly about.
Absolutely. So you gathered so many different speakers. I'm just honored to be a part of that. How many speakers are there? What can people expect?
Yeah, so including me, there's 33 experts, and some of those
Wow.
include couples that are speaking together. So, yeah, all different viewpoints, all faith-based, just really incredible humans that are married, that are working with marriages, that really have a heart for marriage. So it's really been fun but mostly I just like gather up the people who I want to talk to, that like I want to learn from, and then I just share what I'm learning with everybody else.
Yeah, kind of tell them about the style of what they'll see when they go on and watch the videos.
Yeah. Well, so it's 32 interviews on the main section. So you have access for free for 24 hours to all of the 33 interviews that I've done. So you're on day 2. So we've had day 1 was yesterday, and then we've got Dr. Kim speaking on day 2. And so we did a little bit of it. You were a little bit different because you some people submitted kind of a presentation, but
Mhm.
most of the experts I interviewed. So I asked them questions. Some of them I let my audience know that I was interviewing them, the more well-known people. And so I kind of crowdsourced some questions that, like, if you had this expert, what
Yeah.
questions asked them in your experience being married, in your experience working with marriages, what are some secrets that lead to happily ever after? And so it's just kind of me interviewing them. And then you can upgrade to an accelerator package, which has bonus interviews with all of the experts, as well as a bunch of juicy bonuses, including like a workbook, and there's a couples discussion guide. So if you're not watching with your spouse, there's a bunch of questions that you can go through on date night or when you're walking, or just ask your partner about, that will help kind of solidify the principles that we're talking about on the summit. So there's some really great juicy bonuses there too, like that will just help you just create your happily ever after love story. Because I think people don't think of their life as a love story, right? And I promise you, I saw a meme the other day that I just loved, and I need to get the exact wording of it, but it says great love stories are written by Hollywood screenwriters, but your story is written by God.
Oh,
And
wow.
so if you will just embrace the fact that God is writing this beautiful love story, it really changes, I think, your perspective on your marriage.
Absolutely. And knowing that God has a plan for your marriage and he wants what's best for your marriage, all those concepts that are so true, as we embrace those, you're right, it changes our attitude toward our marriages. That's great. I love the fact that there are questions. I love that there are couples have the opportunity to interact on things and grow through this. So are there any themes that come up over and over as you look at these experts and look at the mentors and what they have to share?
Yeah, I've actually seen several themes come out. One is intentionality. I mean,
Mhm.
if you aren't intentional, I mean, you can have a mediocre or a bad marriage by accident, but you won't create an awesome marriage without putting intention on it, without investing your time, energy, financial resources, and everything. I mean, there is no better thing than your marriage relationship that you could invest your time in, because it not only blesses you, and it's not only a really strong indicator of your personal happiness, the strength of your relationship, but it also bleeds down to your children's happiness and what they create. And I talk about this concept of transitional characters. And so I think a lot of when you put intention on your marriage, and when you determine that you will be the transitional character in your lineage, meaning no matter what your parents did, you are going to you're going to fix it, you're going to change it, and you do that by being intentional with your relationship. So that was a big theme. Another big theme that I love is date night. I just think
Mm.
it's so important when you're building all the different types of intimacy into your marriage, that you really are intentional and like serious about going out on dates every single week. It's so important.
Absolutely. And enjoying each other. That's what we did when we fell in love. We had fun together and enjoyed each other. And sometimes I think in the busyness of life and raising kids, we can lose that. So I love that part of it. It's just really, really, really cool. You put focus on the importance of intimate friendship in your marriage. What do you think of when you talk about intimacy in marriage?
Yeah. I love this idea of intimate friendship because a lot of marriages, like people are friends, like they're with each other a lot. They do a lot together. They, do the work of raising children and keeping a household and paying the bills and all that stuff. And so they'll gain a good, healthy respect for each other and they'll
Mhm.
be friends. But I think there's a big difference between a friendship and an intimate friendship because I've got a lot of friends and I have different levels of intimacy with my friends, like different, you know, ways in which I'll share like how deep I'll go with different friends that I have, but nobody like my husband where I can basically get naked physically, emotionally, walls come down. He sees the good, the bad, the ugly. Like I don't have to hide anything from him. Like he gets an all access pass to me, my past, my present, and my future. And so that intimate friendship, that ability to really emotionally connect, to physically connect, to sexually connect, to connect with God and make him a part of our marriage is truly that intimate friendship. And I think few people actually achieve that because there's so much resentment because they just don't focus on it, or they stop at that friendship level, which is good. But if you want an awesome marriage, then you'll integrate all of that intimacy, all of that. You'll choose to be completely vulnerable, which is not an easy thing
No.
with this human that you get to spend your entire life with. So,
I love that, and I think we see God's plan for marriage way back in Genesis with Adam and Eve before sin entered the world, and God spent time with them, and
yes,
they were naked and ashamed, and
we
they
were
were
naked.
vulnerable and
Yeah.
transparent, and I think that pictures what God wants for us, and I think we can have that. I think through our relationship with Christ, we can have it, we can be redeemed, and that can be something that we can embrace, and there is such a difference between I love the way you did the analogy between just our friends that we're friends with in an intimate friendship, and there's one person in our lives if we're married to have that with, and that's with our spouse, and that's why God wanted it. So that is such a great concept. I love that.
Yeah, and I love the analogy you drew to the Garden of Eden because they were naked and they were not ashamed and they were there
Yeah.
together and they were tending the garden. And I love the vision, the powerful imagery of that. Where they
Hmm.
were there and they were together and they were sinless. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I think we can kind of skip over sometimes, but there's so much about marriage, I think, in that story of those first two, that first marriage that was ever there. So what does that look like in your marriage? You alluded to it a little bit but what does that look like day to day for you guys?
Yeah, I love it. It's that we're always learning each other, right?
Mm.
We're like constantly curious and vulnerable about each other. Like we've been married 20 years, which to you like pales in comparison to 51 years, right? But it's we've never gotten to the point where we feel like we just know each other. We're always looking
Yes.
for additional ways to learn and know more about each other. And we spend a lot of time together. We're a really good team. And I think it's like growing in this connection and love with each other. It's like the more I understand how to love myself and how to honor myself, then I can share that love with him. And so I love our intimate friendship. I mean, we are best, best, best friends, but we're also super intimate and vulnerable with each other. And so, I mean, it looks like on a day to day basis is he's my favorite person. He's my favorite human. Like
Yeah.
I can't claim him, he's not mine, but I feel like he's mine, and I still get that Twitter-pated feeling when he comes in from work, and I just wanna kiss him and be close to him, and, I tell people we were talking about this just last night, was it describing marriage that I don't actually need him for anything. I mean, when he's out of town, I totally can do it, but it's just not as fun, right? Like, I mean, he's
Yes.
gone, I can do the kids, I can do the house, I can get it all done, but man, when he comes home, it just makes it so much more fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was talking to a group of pastors and their wives last week. And one of the things I told them that I don't think a lifetime is long enough to learn everything about your spouse. And you said it so well, because we do grow. God does change us and grow us. And, you know, if somebody tells me they're bored and they're married, then you're just not being intentional, because there's so much to learn and grow. And I think if we keep that attitude, I mean, you know, when we're dating and working towards engagement, I mean, we're to learn everything we can about that person. We're asking questions, and then sometimes I think we get lazy, and just continue to pursue your spouse, to see what's going on with them, what is God doing in their lives, and how that can impact both of you in some really powerful ways. It's so good. So if somebody's listening to a couple, what's their first step that they can take if they feel that they're pretty far away from this intimate friendship?
Yeah, I honestly think it's just the awareness that it can be better. Like there's always room
Mm,
for improvement in your marriage. And like I was with a bunch of people last night and kind of telling them what I do and things like that. And they're like, "Oh, well, my marriage is good. My marriage is fine, right?" But you dig a little deeper and they're like, "Well, we do argue about this. And yeah, I mean, I guess it could be better." And I thought, like, this one man was telling me, like, "Oh, my first year of marriage I thought was so amazing." And like he's like, "We've been married 18 years now, and I just found out that our first year of marriage was like miserable for her." And I'm like, "Interesting, right?" Like,
yeah.
so the first step, I think, is just an awareness that you can only
Mhm.
see what you can see. And so, like I said, learning more about marriage, learning more about becoming intimate friends, and getting that neutral third party involved those are all great steps. But it starts with just being aware that, like, I can only see what I can see. And so I always tell, if you want a really good exercise, if you really, really want to know, like, if you can humble yourself enough to go to your spouse and say, "What is it really like being married to me?"
Mm.
And then wait for that answer. And you might have to ask several times, because I don't think they're going to tell you right away, right? They're going to be a little skeptical, like, I don't know if you can handle this, right? But keep asking and keep probing, like, with real intent to find out the answer to that, because that is your pathway to growth, is learning what
Absolutely.
it's really like to be with you.
Yeah, that is so good. So good. So whatever it is, just take that first step of awareness and then continue. I love the question of just asking that to your spouse, and then obviously doing it both ways, and really trying to pick up some things. Well, how can I improve that then? And just celebrate the things you're doing well. This isn't
Yeah.
all about, correcting everything, because hopefully you're doing some things really well that your spouse can share with you also. That's
So good.
great.
So
That's
good.
great. Well, Monica, if people want to attend the seminar, how can they do that? And we'll also put that in the link down here. But how do they find the seminar?
Yeah, it's
The
super
summit.
easy. You're just going to go to www.secretsofhappilyeverafter.com/SHEA summit. And that stands for Secrets of Happily Ever After Summit. And then you'll have a link for them in there as well.
That's great. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for putting on the summit. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.